Thank you for loving me enough.
Oh.
And that was a wake up moment for me because welcome, woven ones. This is Generations Woven, where the voices of three generations blend into one tapestry of truth, laughter, love, and life. Today, we're going to talk about boundaries, our lines of love. They aren't walls, they're bridges to better relationships. And in this episode, we'll explore how to set boundaries without guilt, how generations view boundaries differently, and how to communicate limits with kindness and clarity. We share personal stories of boundary fails and breakthroughs and practical language you can use today. And remember, no is a full sentence.
Thread that ties us all through the rises, through the falls. We are stronger when we stand as one, together shining like the sun. Generations woven.
So today, in getting started, I always like to tell a story that's happened in my past. And one time, I've had a few foster children along the way, and I remember gal that I worked with asked me if I would take her son because he was getting into trouble and becoming more than she could handle. And I love teenagers, so I said, "Oh, I can give it a shot." And he came to live with us. And immediately, I let him know these are the rules: unconditional love, strong boundaries, and please don't lie to me. So we got along great. He was doing well. He'd been in trouble with the law and he was on probation. So he had a real good reason to walk the straight and narrow, so he didn't get any more trouble. But it was interesting because one time I came home from work, and at that point in time, I was doing high-risk babies, and a lot of them were drug babies, so I was a little familiar with the drug scene. I came home from work, and my coffee table, which had a glass top that was beveled like into the wood, I noticed some marijuana seeds. And he was the home when I came home. I said, "Do you know anything about this?" "No, but um, the boys, my sons, had friends over today. Maybe they had it." Well, I doubted that very highly, but okay. And I said, "So you weren't doing anything with pot or anything?" "No, no." Looking me straight in the eyes, and I don't know about you ladies, but mothers have a sixth sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, came back positive. He got hauled to jail. And I felt bad in a way, but in another way, I knew that I had to be strong. And when I set boundaries, there's consequences
For both.
for both ways, yeah. And I had to be strong enough because I cared enough about him to see him
Mm-hmm.
prosper. So anyway, a short time went by, and he walked into where I worked, walked over to me and gave me a great big hug and said, "Thank you for loving me enough."
Oh.
And that was a wake-up moment for me because it reinforced how much it means to stand firm when you have boundaries. People don't continue to respect you if you just let them walk over those boundaries all the time. They don't know how to respect you because you haven't put a line there. And they are lines of love: love for yourself, love for them, to give them the where it's okay and where it's not, and to teach them along the way how to have more respect for you. So that's just a little story that really showed how boundaries can really be lines of love, not hate. I didn't do it because I hated him. I loved him dearly and I wanted to see him prosper. But, it was a kind of thing where I had to be firm. And, so many parents want to be a friend to their kids. They don't want to be a parent. I've seen that so many times along the way. And I know that when God made me a parent, he expected me to stand firm and to give them the guidelines to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Well, Judy, why do you think it's so hard for us to draw that line, specifically for us personally, not just with our kids, but I know that there are a lot of people that are very much people pleasers. Maybe when we're younger, I don't know.
I think at different stages, there's a lot of people pleasing in our work. There's a lot of people pleasing in like your life. Like it is, having teenagers especially, it's tough. Sometimes we give in when we shouldn't because it's easier. Building those boundaries for my kids, similar to what you had to learn and do for that child, is kids need that and it's important. But a lot of my boundary situations or scenarios I feel are more in my work.
Hmm.
I mean, there's probably points in my life, but there's just nothing that's really I had to have this boundary in this relationship and like make it clear. I don't know why, maybe it's just different for me, but my boundaries are more I am not going to work until 10 o'clock at night anymore. I used to work all the time. I used to work holidays, weekends. I remember a New Year's Eve not too long ago, probably about 4 years back. There was this big project trying to launch. This was a financial thing we were dealing with. I'm not even in finance. I worked the entire weekend on an acquisition that really was not my job, but because I started doing it and then I just kept doing it, it became my job. Which is very easy to do in a, corporate work setting is you take on something and then if you're going to do it, they're going to expect you to do it. And so setting those boundaries for me became what will I take on? What is my job? And then making sure that we are level on when does my job start and end and when does somebody else's job pick up? Because we have to have those boundaries or else we put the work on us and then we become burned out. I've spent many a times burnt out. And those are really where boundaries for me have been built over years, right? It wasn't something I was always yes, I'll do it, right? I mean, but that's also there's a point in your
easy on the
career.
forehead, right? Just ask me, I'll do it. Yeah.
There's a point in your career though where that is kind of part of it, right? I'm not saying just don't do it, but I think there's even healthy boundaries that can happen early on in your career to set those expectations versus, and you can do it now, like even, 5, 10, 15 years in, like you can set boundaries. And it's something that I, encourage with my team and,
The longer you wait, the harder it is.
There's a quote that I read. The only people who get upset about you setting boundaries are the ones who are benefiting from you having none.
Oh, it makes sense. That makes total
Yeah.
sense. I've noticed though with the younger generation, they don't have a problem with boundaries. None. None whatsoever. And I'm like, where did you learn that? Because I know I didn't teach you that. And the problem with corporate is if you're good at what you do, where do you think your boss is going to go when there's a deadline to you?
That's just life.
That is
Yeah.
life. You're
If
right.
it's PTA,
Oh, yeah. The PTO or
right.
what is that?
Whoever, PTO, parent
Yeah.
teachers, yeah. Whoever does the most is the one they'll ask first because she'll get it done or he'll get it done,
Yeah.
that kind of
Which
thing.
which is still okay. Like you can still be the go-to. It's just you have
Remember
to
that
build out
no
is a full sentence.
is a full
I
sentence.
like that.
Yep.
So I have to tell you this story about my mom. I have a lot of mom stories, but they're just great. That's why. My sister told my mom that she was invited to a Tupperware party. Tupperware. Do
Oh,
they
it's been a
exist?
minute since I've been
Do
to one of
they?
those.
Do they
Yeah, they
still
still have them.
They still have 'em.
She asked my mom if my mom wanted to go. And my mom just looked at her and she goes, I don't want to go. I heard of this later and I thought, isn't that so honest and beautiful? Like, I don't want to go. I just don't want to go. I don't want to go and sit at a Tupperware party and feel obliged to just buy a whole bunch of stuff and I don't have the room and I don't want it. And I thought, you know what? If we could just be a little more honest in love, wouldn't it be so much easier? I think it would be just so much easier. And then the other thing, and I saw that recently with my older sister, she was burned out, totally burned out. And we had conversations about this. And when they keep on piling and piling, and I say this to myself, you have to say, I will gladly take that on. What would you like me to then let go of?
Mm-hmm.
And almost like
Ooh, I like that.
it's like a
Yeah.
negotiation. Like I want to do the best that I can because I just got a huge thing added to my workload this past year. And honestly, I almost quit because I knew I couldn't do it. It was too much. Now a year later, I found a way to do it better and easier. But I think it's good to say to your boss, here's my to-do list. Which one would you say is the most important?
And that is
Just keep
so
that.
important because you have to manage your own workload.
Yeah.
So it's taking that time to like going to your boss and saying, "Hey, I want to help get all these things done, but I've got so many competing priorities. Can you help me
I
prioritize?"
like that. Competing priorities. You tell me what's important.
Yes, you tell me what's important. What do I need to get done next? And that is a skill set that I don't think a lot of managers train.
No.
It is something that I've worked with different members of my team to meet with them, and I tell them like, okay, write down what you're working on
Mm.
because they have all these different projects, and then I can help say, okay, well, that is a job you shouldn't be doing. Let's find the right person for it. Let's get that off your plate because they are in the grind of working and doing everything that they need another set of eyes to look at it from a fresh perspective and help give that guidance.
Mhm.
And now I have, a team member who she'll come to me and be like, "Hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I've got too much going on. Can you help me?" So it's letting them know that they can do that. As a leader, a close friend of mine is having issues with boundaries with their responsibility at work. And we've been having some chats back and forth and asking me, what should I do here? And I was like, well, I don't think you should be doing the taxes for your business. I think that should go to a tax professional.
Yeah.
That's something you can easily take off your plate. I go, you need to say, hey, boss, I'm not going to do this. Don't forget it's due by this day.
Mhm.
And then you go back in another week and say, just want to make sure you've got that taken care of. I'm not doing it. And just be respectful and just set those expectations and those boundaries for yourself.
So is it communication? Is it like that honest
At the core?
communication? Yeah, saying, I'm drowning. I cannot do all of this. How can we do this differently? My boss the other day in a meeting said her dad asked her, how do you like your job? And she goes, I love my job, especially the first 40 hours. And I'm like,
Oh,
and
it's not just in business, it's
True.
in
True.
families. So many times parents want to please their kids,
yes.
so they let them do things that they probably know they shouldn't be letting them do because they want to be liked
Mhm.
and appreciated. But the thing is, we have to be parents
First.
first. Yeah. So before your day ends, I want you to choose a small boundary that you've been avoiding. Write it down. Maybe it's how someone talks to you, or maybe it's how something that's happening at work or on the job kind of thing. Maybe it's with your children, maybe it's in a relationship. But write down what it is you do not want anymore, that boundary, and then what you can do to put that into action. So I want you to write down one thing you've been avoiding putting into action as far as setting a boundary of love, so that you love yourself, so that others can love and respect you. Practice saying it, and if it's discomfort shows up, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means you're honoring yourself. Remember, boundaries aren't rejection. They're an act of love, and sometimes no is a full sentence. You might try it sometime. But until next time, God bless.
That ties us all.